ठीक है सर. Good morning and warm welcome to you all. My name is Lalit Kumar Sagar, working as an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science. I would like to give my sincere thanks to Dr. Modi, who is the president of our esteemed organization, along with Dr. R.K. Khandal, who is our mentor. I would like to pay my regards to all dignitaries and directors of various institutes, and especially Dr. Dipankar Sarma, who is given opportunity to give such platform. Heads and the backbone of any organization are faculty members and staff. My dear students, today our webinar topic is WebRTC, Web Real-Time Communication, which is presented by our three students belongs to second year Department of Computer Science, Mr. Parvez Alam, Mr. Pushkar Yadav, and Mr. Mohammad Salim. As far as concerned to Parvez Alam, who is describe the introductory part of WebRTC and history of the WebRTC, whereas the architecture part is described by Pushkar Yadav, and after the concluding session and advantages and disadvantages are handled by Mohammad Salim. So not to take so much time, let's start our webinar topic. I would like Mr. Parvez for starting webinar. Thank you. Mr. Parvez.
Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Now I am going to start this webinar. And good morning to directors of different colleges, faculty members, senior, and my colleagues. Today, I, Parvez Alam, along with my friends, Mr. Pushkar Kumar Yadav and Mohammad Salim, we are conducting this webinar, and topic for our webinar is WebRTC. Now, I will give a brief introduction about WebRTC. WebRTC stands for Real-Time Communication over Web using the browsers only without any plugin required. And with real time, we mean to say that a communication where latency is very low, or we can say that a communication which is completed under seconds. With WebRTC, we can add real-time communication capabilities to our applications that works on top of an open standard. It supports video, voice, and generic data to be sent between peers, allowing developers to build powerful voice and video communication solutions. The technology is available on all modern browsers as well as on native clients for all major platforms. The technologies behind WebRTC are implemented as an open web standards and available as regular JavaScript APIs in all major browsers. For native clients like Android and iOS applications, a library is available that provides the same functionality. The WebRTC project is open source and supported by Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Mozilla, amongst others. The page is maintained by Google WebRTC team. Some of the apps where WebRTC is used are Google Hangout and Facebook Messenger, Peer.in, Discord, and many more. Now I will give a brief history of WebRTC. And WebRTC starts in the year 2010. In February 2010, Google acquires Onto, a video codec company that developed the VP codec series. Onto's goal was to produce the codecs as a replacement for the H.264 series that were patent-free. Google open source all Onto's assets. In May 2010, Google acquires Google IP Solution, a media framework company that attempts to simplify development of voice over IP and video calling applications. Google open source GIPS assets but removed all voice and video codec with patent owners and added a JavaScript API as an integration layer to web browsers. In fall 2010, Ericsson Labs experiment with early ideas of WebRTC via Stream API. In October 2010, meeting hosted contributors from the industry, W3C and IETF to assess interest in implementing and standardizing infrastructures, including protocols and APIs for bringing real-time interactive communication to web browsers. In March 2011, 11, Birds of a Feather meeting held at ITF to charter RTC Web to work on protocols for WebRTC. In May 2011, W3C approves the first WebRTC charter. IETF approves the RTC Web Charter. In May 2011, Google releases early WebRTC, an open source project for browser-based real-time communication. In October 2011, W3C publishes its first draft for the WebRTC spec, WebRTC 1.0. Real-time communication between browsers starts from here. In October 2011, W3C publishes its first draft of the media capture and stream specifications. In November 2011, for the first time, Chrome 23 adds supports for WebRTC through data channel capabilities are not supported. In January 2013, for the first time, Firefox 20 adds supports for WebRTC. This includes solely get user media support to give access to the local camera. In February 2013, the first cross-browser video call using WebRTC is enabled between Firefox and Chrome. In summer 2013, SDP as an API surface is challenged, which results in various proposals, including object real-time communication. In June 2013, Firefox 22 adds more comprehensive support for WebRTC, including the ability to make video calls and use the data channel API. In August 2013, Chrome for Android adds complete support for WebRTC. And in October 2013, Object Real-Time Communication proposed as a community group plan was ends here. In March 2014, Opera for Android officially supports for WebRTC. In October 2014, W3C publishes its first draft of the identifiers for WebRTC statistics API specification. In December 2014, consensus on adding RTP sender and RTP receiver add track begins. This begins the addition of object to WebRTC. SDP is still the underlying negotiation mechanism. In February 2015, W3C publishes its first draft of the screen capture specification. In October 2015, Microsoft Edge supports object real-time communication and partially WebRTC via adapter.js. In May 2016, WebRTC turns 5 years old. Community rejoices here. In April 2017, Microsoft updated Edge to officially support WebRTC version 1.0. In September 2017, Apple releases Safari 11 with support for WebRTC version 1.0. In November 2017, WebRTC version 1.0 is announced, feature complete by W3C. The spec must move forward to a period of candidate recommendations before moving to proposed recommendation status. In June 2018, discussion related to WebRTC next version begins in contrast. And the idea behind WebRTC was that the browser can play audio and video. Why don't we use it for audio and video communication? By using webcam and microphone without using any plugin. By plugin, as a plugin is a software add-on that is installed on a program, enhancing its capabilities. For example, if we wanted to watch a video on a website, we may need a plugin to do so. If the plugin is not installed, our browser will not understand how to play the video. And how it works. First of all, it gets permission by asking the streaming audio video devices. Then it gets network information such as public IP address and exchanges it with other WebRTC clients in order to enable connection through NATs and firewall. Coordinate signaling communication and exchange of information about media and client capabilities. Then communicating, streaming audio, video, or data starts. I will show it. Now I will show how the WebRTC communication work over the browser through an animation. Suppose there are two users and they are using their browsers and want to communicate to each other. user A's browser and user B's browser. For communicating, they need a server for establishing a connection between them. So user A will need a server, and it will send its information such as public IP address and ask about the user B's IP address to the server. Then server will get this information and send it to user B's so that A wants to connect to you, and it shows its IP addresses. Then user B will send a confirmation to server that yes, I am okay with it, and sends its IP addresses. Then server will send back IP address, user B's IP address to user A, and say that both are okay. Then there will be no need of server anymore, and they could communicate to each other directly without any need of server. They could communicate through audio, video, and send data to each other. The parts of the WebRTC are WebRTC API, Identity, SDP, ICE, Stern, Turn, DTLS, SRTP, and Codex. Now I will explain these terms briefly in my next slides. The term API stands for Application Program Interface, and it is a set of routines, protocols, and tools for building software applications. Basically, an API specifies how software components should interact. Additionally, APIs are used when programming graphical using interface. A good API makes it easier to develop a program by providing all the building blocks. The API used in WebRTC are Media Stream API, also known as Get User Media. This allows browser or native app gain access of device camera and microphone to capture the audio and video and send it to the server. Next API is RTC peer connection, which allows audio video call setup between the two browsers. And third API used is RTC data channel, which allows browser or native apps to get peer-to-peer communication established between the devices. Now comes the identity. WebRTC offers and answers, and hence the channels established by RTC peer connection objects can authenticate it by using a web-based identity provider. The idea is that the entity sending an offer or answer acts as the authenticating party and obtains an identity assertion from the IDP, which it attaches to the session description. The consumer of the session description, that is the RTC peer communication, on which set remote description is called, act as a relaying party and verifies the assertion. Following steps are followed in this process. First of all, RTC identity provider is called, which enables a request that identity assertion to be generated or validated. Then RTC identity assertion is called, which identify the remote peer of the current connection. If no peer has yet been set and verified, this interface returns null. Once set, it can't change. Then comes RTC identity provider register, which registers an identity provider. Then comes RTC identity event, which represents an identity assertion generated by an identity provider. This is usually for RTC peer connection. The only event sent with this type is identity result. Then comes RTC identity error event, which represents an error associated with the identity provider. Two events are sent with this type, identity which satisfies that the connection is authenticate. Next comes SDP. SDP stands for Session Description Protocol, which is a format for describing multimedia communication sessions for the purpose of session announcement and session invitation. Its predominant use is in support of streaming media applications such as voice over IP and video conferencing. SDP does not deliver any media stream itself, but is used between endpoints for negotiation of network metrics, media types, and other associated properties. The set of properties and parameters are often called a session profile. Next comes the how this picture shows how the WebRTC communication occurs. There is a NAT, and NAT stands for Network Address Translation, is the proposed where A network device, usually a firewall, assigns a public address to a computer or group of computers inside a private network. The main use of NAT is to limit the number of public IP addresses an organization or company must use for both economy and security purpose. A setback to IP and video connectivity has been the restriction NATs and firewall pose to reliable call completion. NATs and firewall play a very important role in securing and enhancing the usability of internal networks, however, impose significant problem in setting up IP endpoints. IETF, that is Internet Engineering Task Force standards, Stern, Turn, and ICE were developed to address the NAT traversal problem. STERNS, which stands for Session Traversal Utilities for NAT, help connect IP endpoints. First of all, it will discover the IP, whether that is IP coming is from a NAT firewall, and if so, it determines the public IP address and type of the firewall. STERN then uses this information to assist in establishing peer-to-peer IP connectivity. While STERN is ineffective in addressing the NAT issue with most consumer NAT devices, it doesn't work effectively for more corporate network. TURN, which stands for Traversal Using Relay NAT, addresses this by providing a fallback NAT traversal technique, which is using a media relay server to facilitate media transport between endpoints. ICE, which stands for Interactive Connectivity Establishment, is a framework that leverages both STERN and TURN to provide reliable IP setup and media transport through a SIP offer answer model for endpoints to exchange multiple candidate IP addresses and ports, such as private address and TURN server address. Now comes the DTLS SRTP. DTLS stands for Datagram Transport Layer Security, which is a communication protocol designed to protect data privacy and preventing eavesdropping and tampering. It is based on Transport Layer Security Protocol, which is a protocol that provides security to computer-based communication network. The main difference between DTLS and TLS is that DTLS uses UDP and TLS uses TCP. It is used across web browsing, mail, instant messaging, and voice over IP. DTSL is one of the security protocol used for WebRTC technology along with SRTP. SRTP stands for Secure Real-Time Transport Protocol or Secure RTP, which is an extension to our real-time transport protocol that incorporates enhanced security features like RTP. It is intended particularly for voice over IP communication. Next comes codec. Codec is a short for decoder. It is an algorithm used to encode data such as an audio or video clip. The encoded data must be decoded when played back. A media codec is not equivalent to media compression since it is possible to encode a file without compressing it. However, most codecs do compress the original data, reducing the size of the original file. This is important for multimedia files since they often have large file sizes. Compressed files take up less disk space and can be downloaded more quickly. Some of the codecs used are PKZip is for still images, JPEG, GIF, PNG, audio for audio, MP3, AAC, and video SignPack, MPEG2, S264. And in WebRTC, codec for audio is RFC 7874, and for video communication, the codec uses VP8. Now, I will like to invite Mr. Pushkar Kumar Yadav for explaining the WebRTC architecture.
The introduction and history part of WebRTC. This was such a good and informative presentation. After knowing the introduction and history part of WebRTC, we move towards Web Real-Time Communication Architecture. Before I started this topic, a brief introduction about myself. I am Pushkar Kumar Yadav, pursuing Bachelor of Technology in Computer Science and Engineering branch from Dr. Kedarnath Modi Institute of Engineering and Technology. Before I come on the topic, that works across multiple web browsers, across multiple platforms like Chrome, Firefox, etc. When we talk about real-time communication, it refers to any live telecommunication that occurs without transmission delay, which latency is low. It is real-time communication. In this picture, if you notice, three distant layers. First is Web API, second is WebRTC C++, and third is Overreadable API. When you think about Web API, before knowing Web API, I am going to tell about API. API is basically direct connection between browser and server, which allows us to access file info or any type of data. So Web API is basically useful for web developers. There are three main categories of APIs that exist in WebRTC. First, getting access to input device, accessing the microphone, accessing the webcam, getting a stream of media from either of them. Because when we think one user to another to communication, then what we do? We do generally video call, audio call, and send any message. For any audio call or video call, we need of web audio or webcam. So first we have to get the user media by webcam or web audio. Second is being able to connect to another WebRTC endpoint across the internet to send this audio and video in real time. Because when you have any message like video or audio form, then we have to send it one user to another. Then what the transmission medium we use, this is second API, which is known as RTC peer connection, and this is done via HTTP based sockets. And third, this is ability to do not just for audio and video, but for arbitrary data. Because sometimes we have not need of only audio or video, but we have other text message or other image. Then we use the third API, which is RTC data channel. Now we see second layer, which is WebRTC C++ API. WebRTC C++ native is for browser makers or browser developers, and it is helpful for browser makers because it is easy to implement. And third is Overreadable API. When we see Overreadable API, it is for browser makers which give us to permission for audio capture, video capture, and network input-output. After understanding this key point, we will move towards abstract signaling. In WebRTC season description, object contain parameter like what codec to use, what security key to use, the network information for setting up the peer-to-peer route. And this is only important thing that you just send it from your side to other side, any message, any audio, any video. So the medium messaging, and we can use protocol like SIP or XMPP, which I tell in further slides. Now we will see different engine and transport layer. First is voice engine, second is video engine, and third is transport. So when I talk about voice engine is a framework for the audio media chain from sound card to the network, and many keys used like ISAC, noise reduction. These are software-based signal processing that are used for audio streaming and to remove background noise. Because when it send any messages, then with some noise along with messages go to another user. Then this voice engine remove the extra noise from the audio. And second is video engine. Video engine is a framework for video and media chain. It is use different keys like VPX and image enhancement, video jitter buffer. It is all about using video engine for low latency and video quality, and any noise captured in image by webcam it reduces. And third is transport layer. When we think about transport layer, it is so much important because when we have video engine or voice engine, but if you're not a transport layer, then we're not able to send any message or data. So basically transport components are responsible for transferring audio and video stream from a sound from one person to another person, and it is secured by SRTP, and it is a very efficient way for transferring via HTTP or WebSocket. Now this was all about for two users web architecture, and in next slide we will see when more than two users. So in this picture, we can see here is more than 2 users want to access a server and make a establish a peer-to-peer connection. So when we think about WebRTC, is currently implemented only support one-to-one communication, but we could be used in more complex networks. Like in picture, we can see there are more than 2 users want to communicate peer-to-peer. This all can be done by using MCU or multiple point control unit. It is a server that can handle large number of participants and do selective streaming. So we will move to our next slide. Here we can find different three layers, which I also told the APIs for web developer, which web APIs, it contains three APIs: RTC peer connection, RTC data channel, and media stream, which I tell in further slides. And second is API for browser makers, which is WebRTC, C++ native, and third is overreadable API, which allow us to screen capturing and photo capturing. And now transport component. I also told that what is transport component, how transport component is so much important for transferring audio and video from one user to another user. So this is all about WebRTC architecture. And now we move towards how this signaling works. So go to the next slide. This is a diagram. When we think about users, one user second, we can see here that there are two different servers which accessed by one user and another user. So this is all basically on SIP protocol. SIP means Session Initial Protocol. In this mode, the used devices are running web application from different servers, and the signaling is done via HTTP or WebSocket. The first part of signaling is to make sure that both sides can agree to actually conduct a session, because when one server and another server, when one user and another user want to communicate each other, then they have need to their IP address. To find out their IP address, one user asks their servers, and their servers using HTTP or WebSocket asks to another server to find out the another user IP address. So this is a complex form, and it works like a telephone call. If you think about telephone call, when you make a call to someone, the telephone network send a message to the person that a person is calling, telling the another person whom you call. Then when they answer the call, they send a message back that anyone call you, and when we active, we send a message that now I am available to take call, or we receive the call. So this is all about WAN SIP protocol. But nowadays we are use singular mode of communication, which we see in next slide. Here we can see that two different users access only one server. It form a triangular way. The common is moderate triangular, which you will see in this slide. So in this protocol, both devices use the same web application, which gives web development more flexibility to managing user connection. It was all about signaling. Now we will going to elaborate WebRTC API. As we all know that there are three APIs used: RTC peer connection, media stream, and RTC data channel. Now we will discuss on RTC peer connection. So as the name implies, RTC peer connection, it is all about making a connection to another peer to one peer to another peer. And over this connection, we can actually then go and send audio and video. It also manages UDP connection with another user. When we think about UDP connection, this is less reliable for transport, because we cannot find out, we cannot be sure that the message sent one user to another are delivered or not. And the way we do RTC peer connection is known as media stream or get user media, which is in next slide. So here we can say that a block we have written is get user media plus RTC peer connection. When you think about get user media, it asks for one user to access the video or audio, video webcam, or audio web audio. So it is generally used in Zoom or other apps. Like when we access any communication, then they ask for us that you want to access our cameras, you want to access our audio. So this is all about get user media and RTC-peer connection. RTC-peer connection does a lot of things like signal processing, codec handling, peer-to-peer communication, security, and bandwidth management. So first, we talk about signal processing. It is used to remove noise from audio and video. And second is codec handling. When you think about codec handling, it is a compression and decompression of the actual audio and video. Because when you send any audio and video, it needs to compress or it needs to decompress. So it's all handled by codec handling. And third is peer-to-peer communication. So find out actual peer-to-peer route via net, firewall. We find out the actual route whom we talk or who communicate. And the next is security. Security is most important because the data which we send one to another should be secured for our privacy. So these all media are encrypted are SRTP and DTLS. And last is bandwidth management. It is last bandwidth management is so much important because it is our net connections are frequencies because one user is connecting 200 kbps and other is 250 and 250 kbps, then we need a bandwidth management. So after knowing this, we will discuss on media stream. So we move towards next slide. Media stream responsible for a single source of synchronized audio or video or both. Each media stream contains one or more media stream tracks. For example, in our laptop, we have gate, webcam, and a microphone providing video and audio stream, and they are synchronized. It gives developer to access the stream object that represent video and audio stream because when we communicate one user to another, then WebRTC and any other app asks for us to access our cameras or access our cameras or audio. So we have to give permission when we want to call or communicate one user to another. And it also depends upon us that when we have multiple webcams in our laptop, then it manages according to our input, according to user, that which cameras or microphone we have to use and which have to stop. So it is all about media stream. And now we move to last API, which is RTC data channel. So move towards next slide, RTC data channel. As well as sending media streams between peers to peer, we also send an arbitrary or additional data using this RTC data channel. RTC data channel has the benefit that here we have a peer-to-peer connection for lowest possible latency. This is a by communication of the arbitrary data between peers. Here we use some RTC data channel. What is this? RTC data channel has the benefit that here we have a peer-to-peer connection for lowest possible latency, which is ultra low latency. And what is latency? Latency is when one user sends a message to another user and when response comes, then what is the time duration between request and response, which is known as latency. So here is ultra low latency. When latency is low, then real-time communication is stabilized, which is our main purpose of WebRTC. Hence, we find out a good real-time communication. And fourth is security. The third is unreliable. Doing this communication in addition, RTC data channel can be reliable or unreliable. Because when you think about UDP and TCP, UDP cannot show our status that our message or data we send one user to another are delivered or not. But TCP, which is transmission control protocol, give us guarantee that data delivered by another user. So it depends upon user that what we use, UDP or TCP. When we use UDP, this can't show us the status, but when you use TCP, then it shows us status that all the messages or data we send to another user are delivered. So this was all. So this was unreliable and reliable. And now move to secure. So it is very secure because we use SRTP and DTLS. All the messages and data are encrypted, so no one can access. Now we move towards next topic, which is WebRTC environment, which is represented by my friend Salim. Now Salim will present this. Thank you.
this opportunity. Here, my name is Mohammad Salim from second year, pursuing Bachelor of Technology from Dr. Kedarnath Modi Institute of Engineering and Technology. As earlier, my friend Puskar has told you all about WebRTC architecture, RTC peer connection, media stream API, and RTC data channel. So now I am moving towards my topic, that is WebRTC environment. WebRTC provides an environment between different devices for communication through browsers. We can allow to connect our cameras and microphones to provide some security for communications with any OS. As we know that it's a OS independent. Before we start building our WebRTC application, first of all, we should have a text editor or IDE where you can edit our text HTML and JavaScript files. The other requirement for common WebRTC application is having a server to host the HTML and JavaScript files. The browser is not allowed to connect our cameras and microphone unless the file is being served by the actual server. So this is the main security where WebRTC environment is provided to all of you. So I am moving towards what is protocol. Here we will tell you all about WebRTC protocols. Real-time data communication means the fastest connection speed between both the users. A common connection takes a frame of video or audio transfer to different users. These users having the devices between 30 and 60 per second to achieve the good quality. As we know that good quality is very major thing that provided by the WebRTC to communicate between different users. So it is very important for the data crucial for making a single frame to get other side. The WebRTC application may miss certain frames in order to have a good speed. So we have a certain things we will discuss in the next slide. So I'm going to discuss about WebRTC applications using UDP stands for User Datagram Protocol as the transfer protocol. WebRTC uses UDP, the transfer layer, that is latency and timeless, which are critical. We can adjust our audio, video, and application UDP packets, and we are good to go through it. This type of protocol is reliable for transferring important data that provides security also. So it sends data really fast and constant speed, but it doesn't check whether data is being received or not. This is useful for something like video on video chats because you can lose a few frames, it's going to be noticed. But a files will be transferred. If you lose a few bytes of the data, the entire files will be corrupted. Now, coming to the TCP, that is Transfer Control Protocol. That nowadays, most of the web applications are building through TCP. So there are certain points we must know about TCP. First one is any data will be sent as a received. Next one, any data that do not get other side will be resent and sending other data will be temporarily terminated. So if we terminate our data, then it will be resent to get the other users. And any data will be unique without duplicates of the other data. We should know the files, which files have been sent. So now I'm moving towards the next slide, that is about HDP, that stands for Session Description Protocol, and their root and how we communicate with different users through IPs. So here, sessions means communication between different IPs devices. HDP playing an important role in WebRTC. It provides connection between two or more devices using signaling intermediate to share information. WebRTC uses UDP to describe the parameters of the peer-to-peer connection. HDP doesn't deliver any media itself. It is used to describe the session profile, which represents a list of properties of the connection and types of media to be exchanged like audio, video, and application data network transport, which uses codecs, means coding or decoding, both from the users, and their settings and bandwidth information. So I am going towards their route, how communication takes place. So there are three ways, that is stand for stern, turn, and ice. So we will talk about finding a route to connect with the different users to and that have a certain level of control to avoid access security issues. So in coming slides, we will discuss about these routes, how the communication takes place. So next slide. So this one is the first slide where we can communicate through different users through their IPs. So Stern helps to identify each user and find a good connection between them. First of all, make a request to a server, enables with the Stern protocol, then the server sends back the IP addresses of the client. The client now identifies itself with these IP addresses. So through these process, we can communicate with the different users through their IPs. Here, Stern is a standard setup method where a network protocol is allowed to end a host to discover its public address. It is located behind the net and a simple server and chief for using the audio and video streaming through different IPs. So there is a basically two steps shown in the figure for using this protocol. You need a Stern enabled server to connect. The great thing is that Chrome and Firefox provided servers. For application, you need to develop your own Stern and Turn servers for their client to use for communicating with each other. So our next route is about Turn. Turn provides a cloud server. If peer-to-peer communication fails, the data sent through the servers. It ensures that the call works in almost all the environment. Sometimes there is a firewall that allow any stand base traffic to the other users. Turn comes on the different method of connecting with another users by adding the relay between the clients, peer-to-peer connection on the behalf of the users, and the data from the turn servers. The turn server will obtain the direct every data packet from the servers and send to the users for communicating with different IPs. So at last, going through the communication is done with ICE, that is the last route through which we can communicate with others. ICE stands for Interactive Connectivity Establishment. ICE is a framework for connecting peers, tries to find the best path for each call and best majority for calls can use by Eastern. Now, in the previous slide, we will discuss how Eastern is communicating through IPs with different medias. So it utilizes Stern and Stern to provide a successful peer-to-peer connection to address a router of the range addresses, but both are worked with the users. Stern and turns are used to find the each IC address. IC will Stern server to find the external IPs. It will go through the not private IP, so it is work on the external IP. If if connections is failed, we try to use the turn servers. When the browser finds a new IC address, it notifies the client that the send IC content through the signaling channel. When enough addresses are found to be tested, the connection is established. Through all these routes, we can communicate our streaming their data like audio and video with good sound qualities. So in coming slides, I will tell you all about the advantages and disadvantages of WebRTC. So here we will discuss about advantages. First one is open source code. It means a WebRTC is an open source code based on the project intended of the data streaming between apps and browsers. If you wanted to connect or stream our videos or audios, you can directly communicate with their browsers like Opera Menu, Google Chrome, Firefox. Other browsers can also support WebRTC as well. After installing the additional extension of WebRTC for all, this will help you to connect with the different users with different ITs through the communication. So next advantages is strong rival to classic telephony. Today, WebRTC is a new experimental technology. However, it is forecasted as standardized and certain improvements. This new communication standard will put on the pressure on the market of classic telephony. Nowadays, as we know that everyone is going through the online streaming videos, so it is a very essential part of our daily life. In fact, classic telephony already feels serious competition for more quality and cheaper VoIP services such as Viber and Skype. As we know that for if we talk about Skype, it is a software we use to install firstly, then we can talk with the other users. But WebRTC is a open source. You can directly communicate with the users through the Opera menu or Google Chrome. So it is important in our daily life. Third one is more security and stability. It also provides a security. The new communication standard is still in the process of refinement and development. WebRTC advantages over the Flash technology and architecture is considered to be a favor disadvantages than the Flash plugin to be more logical. Flash has dominated the market until recently, but discontinued to the main web browsers. And it against the external attacks through the security. So WebRTC is certainly the best choices for communicating with different medias. And next one is better sound quality. As you know that if we communicate with the different medias or different IP addresses, we need to have a good sound quality to communicate with the others. So among the benefits of the WebRTC is included fact that the adjust built-in microphone settings. This technology provides better sound quality than Flash. WebRTC technology uses G.711 and offers codec for transferring audio with a good sound quality. So next advantages is supported by most leading Windows browsers. As we earlier told you all about, it is independent to browsers. We can leading this or we can communicate through the browsers also. So the main advantages of WebRTC is open source. It is an independent solution for communicating with different medias. This technology is ready to implement it by some WebRTC developers using online businesses. Today, WebRTC API is supported by most leading Windows browsers like Google Chrome, Opera, Firefox. Chrome are for Android support also announced in spring 2013. WebRTC API comes available on C++ library as well. This allows third-party developers to use the technology in independent solution. And my last advantages is supporting SIP solutions. SIP solutions using WebRTC API has begun to appear. It is for commercial use, and other services allow applying different effects of photos directly by the webcam and uploaded on the web. A, based, a project based on the WebRTC communication standard allows for creating and transferring multimedia through this WebRTC. So I'm going through the disadvantages of WebRTC. So first one is still under development. As uh, nowadays there are many problems, something like sound quality and many more. So it is under development. It is now developing more features for streaming. Among the disadvantages of WebRTC is fact that communication standard is still under development. This is considered as a different features about the WebRTC since the code used for many undergo important changes in the near futures. The existing WebRTC API versions 1.0 is only a working draft. So next disadvantages is uncertainty regarding the future codecs. As we know, in future we wanted to develop more, and it will should create the more features. So another serious problem related to the RTC, all participating companies are agreement to the moment of one thing. They agreed that RTC main codec will be cross-platform on supported by all the browsers. Up to date has been the royalty free BP8 codec, and some company like Cisco insist using non-free codecs. The proposal, if the proposal has been accepted, there will become a very big problem for the third-party software developers who are using right now as a streaming and sending files. So here I am concluding my presentation. Thank you. If any queries, can you ask?
Thank you, Salim. Thank you, Salim. Really, it is a very informative session. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Ayushi Prakash, who is leading our Department of Training and Placement. Now, introduce our alumni, Mr. Jayant Srivastav, working as an automation engineering in Ericsson system, and give vote of thanks. I would like to invite Ms. Ayushi Prakash. Ayushi Prakash, ma'am.
Hey everyone, a very good morning to one and all present over here. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Thank you, Lalit sir, for giving me an opportunity to give vote of thanks on behalf of Dr. Ken Modi Foundation and especially Computer Science Department. Hey, actually, so thank you, Lalit, for giving me such an opportunity. I'm very thankful. This is Ayushi from Dr. Ken Modi Foundation. Today, the presentation was really very, very nice, and there is no need of confusion because already speakers have done everything. Have concluded in the last last presentation, so there is no need of confusion. I switch to thanking and inviting our speaker, our alumni. First of all, I really appreciate all the speakers. Our speaker, Mr. Salim, Pushkar Yadav, and Parvez Alam, you all explained very clearly, very beautifully. I congratulate you all for your future, for the future endeavor. So, without taking time, I want to invite our esteemed and a proud alumnus, for today's
and it is one of the technologies that has been developed by again the leading giant of the industry, the Google itself. So Google is participating a lot in this technology, and it's really amazing to see students these days picking up something new, not just related to the courses or anything else. They're picking up something new. They're interested in what is actually going on in the industry, and that is, I think, a really good sign for a future. So yes, as that was mentioned in the presentation as well. Being from a telecom background, telecom domain that I'm currently part of, I must say WebRTC would be the telecom industry is definitely ready for such new technologies where you require high-speed internet and everything else. So with Ericsson being being very proudly presenting 5G to the rest part of the world, and we are looking for the opportunity as well in India as well. So yes, from the telecommunication domain part, I must say we all are ready. And yes, I've seen a lot of faculties of my faculties that were here, Nidesh, Neha ma'am. I think it's really amazing that we all get together like this and talk about something like this. That is such an exciting thing. So yes, ma'am, I think that is all. I think everything else was covered in the presentation as well. I think, ma'am, you are on mute.
Hello.
Respected Director, sir, I want to give vote of thanks.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, audible.
Am I speak? I wanted to say thank you, Jen. It was really a wonderful and proudful moment for us that our junior, that our student is now acting as alumni and being an expertise here, speaking and sharing information. Thank you for sharing your expertise. I appreciate you and your effort and knowledge, the way you expressed yourself. It was wonderful. It was fantastic. I congratulate you, Lalit sir, for arranging this webinar.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now I would like to invite Dipankar Sharma sir. So please continue. Please give a vote of thanks on behalf of Computer Science Department. Sir.
Very good afternoon to all of you, and hi Jen. It is good to see you on this platform. And this,
hello sir, how are you?
I think really a good experience to you and we to interact each other. And this will definitely going to be beneficial to our existing students. And I hope that in future we will conduct some more programs to share your experience with the students, right? So all your faculty,
sir, looking forward to such webinars. Definitely, sir.
All of your faculty are excited to see you in the beginning of webinar. They are writing messages to you, so it is very good. And further, Dharmendra
yes,
sir,
I'm equally thrilled.
Dharmendra sir, our ex-faculty member, he is working in the Uttar Pradesh Police now, Police Department. He is also in the webinar.
Okay.
I would like to invite his also to share his views on this this activity actually. Dharmendra ji?
Yes, sir.
May I know your views on this webinar and this the method we are using for the quality learning teaching?
Yes, sir. It was a very knowledgeful session and really an interactive session by students and faculty members also. And I am thankful that I am connected to Dr. Ken Modi group.
Very good to see you on this platform also.
Yeah, I am also pleased that I am connected to you.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to thank each and everyone to be present in this webinar, to be part of this webinar. And thank you so much with the hope that we will conduct some more good programs like this. But I would like to suggest one thing to our students also, those who have presented here, that kindly make your PPTs in brief. It should not contain so many material, and this should be contain points. Just to explain the points with yourself. Otherwise, it happens that the audience just start reading the slides and they unfocus on that. So in future, I suggest you to make slides in points, right? And then you have to be with the audience. So thank you once again, each and everyone, and Ayushi Madam especially. She conducted this part of this webinar. So thank you so much, each and everyone. Good day. Have a nice day.